Appreciate you guys coming. I feel like today we really it's not today as much as the culmination of the whole spring practice. We got better. We've gotten better up front. We've come together. I'm still looking for some depth at positions on the offensive line. Running game is still not what we want it to be. Come a long way since that first scrimmage, but it's still not where we want it to be. Just got to continue working on that part from a run game standpoint. I feel like that our quarterbacks today did some good things. And again, like I told you guys before, it's really hard at quarterback when you're splitting it as evenly as we split it for one guy to really just step up when it's his first time in the system. So you're going to see a lot of improvement from those guys whenever we get back on the field in August. I think after a summer of really spending time to learn the offense and just know it better and get to the finer points, the details, and they'll be more comfortable. I think they were a little bit jacked up today. I know we threw a couple balls out of bounds down the field early on. We're just a little bit excited. But today was fun. It was a good day for those guys to get out there and just relax and play. I'm excited to look at the film, to see, how much good there was. We've been getting the last couple scrimmages. We've been one guy away several times. That's the way it is on offense. Sometimes you get 10 guys doing the right thing and one guy mess up and it's a 1 yard loss play. That's what you got to do with offense. You got to get everybody on the same page, everybody playing, seeing the same things, and being able to get all 11 guys going at the same time. But I think, overall, I felt like today was good. First of all, the crowd was awesome. I've been told ever since we got here about how great the fans are, and for our fans to show up that strong on a spring game, it was great. I really appreciate that. But I'm glad we got out of here with very injury-wise. I think we were slim to none. And that's the big thing. You want to have a spring game. You want to start the summer with everybody healthy and everybody excited. Everybody got to play and be ready to go. Anybody have any questions?
How do you get these guys? Your guys don't have the ball. How do you get them better between now and the next time you get them? How can they get better?
Our whole game revolves around not having the ball. It's about just really just harping on fundamentals, footwork, hand placement, body position, and just, all summer long, obviously we got some guys who have some deficiencies from a strength and flexibility standpoint. They got to work on that. But, we just continue to stay after them about film study. And, when we do the time we do get to work with them over the summer of being able to work on those kind of things and just really, learning the signals. We got a lot of code words. We signal in. We got code words. Well, that's a lot of processing. For an offensive lineman. You got to know the front. You got to know the play. You got to hear the signal. You got to put that back to the play. What's your rule? So there's a lot of things there that slows you down a little bit this early in it. But they'll be the same way. We come back in August. Everything will be moving a little bit faster for everybody. It'll all be processing faster. And that's today's football. You got to be able to process quickly because everybody wants to play a little bit faster and get those signals in fast and all that kind of stuff.
Athletically, do you think your guys are capable of making the blocks they need to make to run the system you want to run?
Yes, like I said, I feel really good about the first 5 guys. Maybe the 6th guy, but we got to find some depth. And that's what I challenged these guys with today is like you got to show you belong. That second group, the blue team I had out there, they got to show they belong, and I think some of them stepped up today, and that's what I'm really excited about. But we've got some really, I got 2 guys that are really good players with Colton and with Sills. Those guys have a chance to be really good players in this league, and they're the leaders on the offense. On the offensive line, they're the leaders. And they got to continue to pull the rest of the guys along, and we got great chemistry. They all love each other. They work hard. They're gonna push each other, and we're going to get better. We're going to continue to get better.
Basically, what you've got is what you're working with this fall. It's awful hard for a new guy to come in and impact right away in your position.
Well, yeah, I think we got some guys that we signed last year that can come in. I think we're going to have some new faces in the fall that are going to have a chance to get in that rotation. So I'm excited about that.
Mike Brent's a guy who didn't have a whole lot of, or really any experience coming into college playing football. It seems like he's
I'd say none.
Yeah,
he didn't play in high school.
It seems like he grows a little bit more every time we see him out there. What sort of progress have you seen him?
I'll tell you, he's probably the most improved player. And it was kind of one of those things where I came in and he didn't play last year. He's redshirted, so he didn't really get he really didn't get coached a whole lot from that standpoint. And really, for a kid that only played a year, maybe a year and a half at junior college ball, he didn't understand any of the basics. It's like going into a Spanish 3 class when you've never taken Spanish before. He didn't have the basics of, hey, what's a base block? What's a down block? Well, you know, a double team, what's it composed of? A lift and a drive. I mean, there's so many things like that he didn't know. And he's really done it. He's really put the effort of coming in. We met with him twice a day all spring. And he would come in, me or T.O., my GA, we would sit down and meet with him and talk about football whenever he wanted to. And he's really soaked it up, and he's athletically as good as anybody we got. He's big, strong, and he's starting to learn. I mean, he's really improved. So I'm excited about what he can do from here.
I feel like you'll have pretty good depth at receiver because guys like Fields and Johns seem to be making plays as well as the top line guys.
Yeah, I think our biggest thing at receiver is we've got to just we got to block. We got to be able to block at receiver. When you run this offense, you got to be able to throw screens. You got to be able to block, and we got to do that. We got to get where we can do that, and we got to, we got to buy in as far as being, doing things the right way all the time, blocking down the field after the play. I think they're making strides. They want to. It's just we got to continue to coach them to do those things and just demand it out of them. But I think athletically and being able to do what we want to do, I think they can do that. We just got to, we got to get that. We got to have that mentality of outplaying people and outworking people. After the ball's called, you got to find somebody to go block. We got to have that mentality if we're going to win around here. That's what we got to do.
I guess Simmons by far the best guy in that regard.
Yeah, he's definitely ahead. I think he's leading that group. And, again, it's just like you get a group and they've been doing things a certain way and then you change it. You just got to stay on them. It's not that they don't want to. It's just a habit. And you got to break that habit. It's just our job as coaches to just stay on them every day and make sure that they play to our standards or they practice to our standards.
St. Phil's other scrimmages that you had in evaluating it, but is today, do you look at it a little bit differently because it was a little bit more of a game atmosphere? Who's playing, when the lights are on a little bit?
Yeah, especially from a standpoint of a quarterback or a receiver, a skill guy, because there's people in the stands. Who's going to keep their cool and who's going to do what they're supposed to do when there's people in the stands. From an O-line standpoint, not as much, because it's so, they don't look up there much anyway, So from a quarterback standpoint especially, you want to see who's going to get big-eyed when they make a mistake, when they throw a pick, when they, something like that. Who's going to get big-eyed and who's just going to keep playing. So that's kind of what you're looking for on days like today.
Sinkfield's a guy who probably has to play, and he kind of got it going last year and got hurt and feels good now. I'm just curious what you think about his.
He's had a really good spring. We've moved him out to play some slot stuff, and he does a really good job of sticking his toe and catching the ball. And I think he's going to be a guy that, I had him on the blue team today, and I played him at some running back, and he had a couple good runs on some gap plays. So he'll run the ball inside hard, but he can also get out on the perimeter and can hit the home run. If you get it blocked up on the perimeter and the safety takes a bad angle, he can definitely hit the home run. But I think I'm looking forward to what he can do. I love his attitude. He works really hard, and I'm just looking forward to see how much more he grows over the summer as far as being a player for us.
I think you said before you'd like to do inside zone, right? But you mentioned perimeter. Some other guys mentioned perimeter. You said the receivers have to block.
Yeah. Well,
not just inside the tackle.
Yeah, it's a lot of stuff we do with the screens. A lot of times a quarterback has an option on run game to throw the screens out there, and for us to be able to do that, to really spread the field and make people have to defend the full width of the field. You got to be able to block out there, and they can't just go 2 for 2 over you and be able to you should be able to get 5 yards when you block one guy and leave a corner or safety free. And like I said, I know they want to, and we just got to keep, like I said, we got to get them to our standard where that's what they're doing every time.
Is there something to be said for having Sills and McKivitz on opposite sides so that you don't have a dominant run side, but maybe in Tennessee?
Well, you look at it now, Mike Brown's pretty good over there on the left side now, and he's a really good down blocker on the gap scheme and backside of the inside zone. So really at guard, I feel good either way. And Wickline's really came on at the back half of spring, and he's really improved his game and his footwork and his pad level. And, he's a little bit rusty too because he didn't play a whole lot last year. He's kind of a new guy as far as being on the field as a starter. So, really I think that left side with Colton and with Mike, you should get some pretty good push over there.
You got the role of tight ends, and good, bad, what do they do?
I think really the tight ends that we have with both those guys, that they do they've done a good job this spring. They've done a much better job in the run game, and that's really what we wanted to see them improve on. So I'm excited about what you can do with them. But again, we got to keep coaching them and make sure they're doing things to our standards as far as being physical and perimeter blocking, being able to get open like a big guy gets open. Not necessarily is not as pretty as a smaller guy getting open. Sometimes a big guy gets open just with his body, and we got to continue to work on that. And then just when you catch the ball, run like a big guy. Run north and south. You don't try to run away from people. So those are the things we're trying to continue to harp with them. But I think they've definitely improved over the spring. You got to remember those guys now. There's a lot on their plate. Coach Trickett, he's coaching tight ends and inside receivers, and those tight ends, they got to know all the protection stuff. They got to know the run game stuff, and they got to know all the throw game stuff. So that position's generally you see more mistakes out of those guys than you do the other guys early on.
You care to comment on Vic's blitzing?
He don't call it blitzing, but those guys they go everywhere. I've seen they're looping in and out. They're always doing all that. He's not a huge blitz guy, but you turn on the film and you got people going everywhere. They never sit still. I love the defense. It helps us prepare for games because my offensive line the first week, their eyes were this big. They're like, man, we're not used to that. That you got three techniques looping and ends looping and nose crossing face, and it's just the way his defense is built. And like I said, I love it. I've seen it be very successful, and I've seen it make an O-line better. It's what it did for us before. So we just continue to, continue to work against it. But I really like going against his defense. He does a really good job with it.